Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. And as for the brand new year of 2018, this is my first show with my dear brother, Chris Nebe, and director of Fighter for Justice. I'm not only crowning him for his few fight, he is always doing the fight for what's right. He believes justice in his mind, and I believe that so. And of course, as a director, he has successfully directed, I believe, 18 films in the Mysterious China series. And also he is now broadening his sight into other historical or even concurrent issues, including the United States. For United States, today we're talking about our biggest problem, which is bigger than anything else, our drug pandemic called the opioid pandemic, which is so big, so super, that I have to get my friend Chris Nebe to talk about, because he recently did a research, okay, in a regular larger found 8 pages. So my dear friend Chris, welcome to the show, and welcome back from China.
谢谢你.
All right, good. Did you do well in China?
Yeah. Okay,
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it's always a struggle to make them understand what the West would like or should know.
All right, but you finally did.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince them. It is sometimes not easy because you see they really, the West doesn't understand China. China doesn't understand the
Yeah,
West.
I understand you, and I understand the difficulties.
Right.
Because there's a difference of systems, different culture, different concept, right? When we say yes, we nod, right? When we say no, we nod too, right? They didn't do the same way we do, right?
No.
Okay, anyway, all right. Yes, for the problem that I did research of to the research article that you sent me, and I was so amazed about the findings. Right, for the pandemic, for the biggest problem that we're facing, according to you, though, how do you quantify the problem? For example, you're talking about death, right?
Yes.
So how do you quantify the death? How do we supposed to know how big the death problem is that caused by the pandemic?
If you want a comparison, 58,000 Americans died in Vietnam.
During the Vietnam War?
Yes, to the whole. And the death toll of the opioid pandemic last year topped 64,070. So that's considerably more than those who were killed in Vietnam.
Yeah. I read this part. I was so shocked.
Yeah.
You know?
So was I when I checked it out.
You know, 58,000 total death casualty for Vietnam War. You're talking about 16 years or 26-year long war?
No, 16, I think.
16 years, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time war. And divided into years, though, you're not talking about huge casualties.
Right.
Here you're talking about last year only.
Right.
The drug-related, the opioid-related death, 64,074.
Yeah.
Let me see how much by percent. And I mean how much by percent it goes over the total casualty of Vietnam War, right? Let's see. We have 64,070 divided by 58. Oh my God. That's 10%, 10.47% higher than a whole war of 16 years has caused. Last year only.
But that also is interesting because it amounts to 175 deaths by overdosing every day.
175
and
deaths
7
every
deaths
day.
every hour in the land of the so-called free and home of the brave.
175 deaths every day, 7 deaths every hour. 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 So you're sure about those numbers being correct?
Yes. You can do it divided. You will find 175 every day and 7 deaths every hour.
That's easy. If you divide 175 by 24, yeah, that's 7.29.
Yeah.
7.3. Oh, that means that less than 10 minutes, there is one death that is caused by drug abuse.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is big.
This is big.
This is big.
And you know, the heroin and opioid-related deaths have surpassed gun homicides, which are already huge in America. I mean, you know, it's a daily occurrence almost by far. And the result is that in the US, and that's really shocking, an opioid-addicted baby is now born every half hour.
Say it again, please.
The result is that in the US today, an opioid addicted baby, because it's a child of addicted mother.
The mother was addicted.
Yeah, is now born every half hour in America.
That's 48 babies a day.
Yes.
And times 365, not 75.
Yeah.
365. How much you say? 48, right? 48 babies times
Every half
360.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah. That's 17,520 babies
Yes.
a year
Yes.
born drug addicted already.
Right.
Oh my God.
And you know, in places like Huntington, West Virginia, 10% of newborn
I said here, yeah.
of newborn babies are dependent on opioids. 10%.
10%. Every 1 out of 10 babies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's serious. That is serious.
A district attorney in Tennessee recently filed a lawsuit against Purdue and other drug manufacturers on behalf of baby doe. You know, they use this doe for...
The baby doe.
Yes. An infant addict. The opioid epidemic has become a national emergency of unbelievable dimensions, and hardest hits are Kentucky, West Virginia, New Mexico, Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania.
All right.
Why this is most likely probably related to economics.
Okay. Has it been brought to the national attention for this being the biggest problem?
Oh yeah. It
has?
And slowly the government is acting.
To what extent? To what extent is United States as a nation aware of the problem?
The beginning is, you see, that there is in America, unfortunately, always a collaboration between corporation and government. And greedy pharmaceutical companies are being blamed for making deals with doctors.
No. I mean, the nation, how seriously is the nation aware of the problem?
They are aware of very much aware. Now it has hit the media. Before it was,
yeah, exactly.
You see, that has made it, and as you heard, Trump called pharmaceutical companies verbatim, called them.
He has a big name for it.
Yeah, he called them
the big pharma.
Yeah, big pharma.
For the big pharma as silencing would have finally been done.
Yeah, President Trump warned big pharma has been getting away with murder.
A murderous greedy.
Yeah.
That's what he called his own term, right?
And that's, while most of the time it's not very interesting what he says, but in this case he's right.
Okay, I was only asking about how seriously United States as a nation is aware of the problem.
They are.
I have an indication that as a media, at least the EDI and GNE TV is aware of the problem. That's why we're doing the interview today.
Right.
Right. So
we
want to bring it to the attention of
the
everybody.
people, yes.
Yeah, of everybody. that we are facing a war without a bullet.
Right.
Right? A war without firing any guns and people die. How many people die? 64,070 died last year.
Yeah.
That is 175 lives every day, and that is 7 lives every hour. And that is so serious. Today with me, my problem, to touch the problem, is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a director first, and he is a fighter for justice. And it is he who dug into all the archives, all the materials, all the concurrent information, the news media, everything, put together this information for us to bring us on an alert that we are at a very huge problem. If we do something, we do something. If we don't do something, well, there might be some day it is already too late. Right? So now let's take a very short moment. When we come back, let's find out how come, what caused it, how come it happened, right? Who did it in the first place?
Who is to blame?
Who is to blame?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll find out who is to blame. We'll catch the hand. Stay with us. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences, dear ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends of the audiences. Being a fellow American ourselves, we do care about the nation. We do care about what's around us. We are vigilant about all the danger or the risk, everything that we're facing. Facing us, a war without a bullet, without having to fire a shot, is the pandemic of opioid substances, which is the drug abuse, which causes 64,070 deaths last year only. That means 175 lives, and every hour, 7 lives were given. So that is the problem. And in the research is my good brother, Chris Nebe, director. He's also, in my term, everybody's term, fighter for justice. And he's recognized both in here and back in China, fighter for justice. For this time, his research found out these numbers, and he wants, together with the EDI and GNE TV, bring this issue to everybody's vigilance. Right now, back to the subject. What to blame? Who to blame? Who caused it?
Greedy pharmaceutical companies. You see, they are in cahoots with doctors and healthcare centers, resulting in overprescription of their expensive pain-killing medicines. Because you see, especially in America, people swallow pills. They just buy pills and think, okay, I have friends who have a handful of pill every morning and they think that's good for them. I wonder, I'm always asking them, what do you think the substances in these pills will do in your stomach once they are ingested and
mixed.
And mixed.
And mixed, yes.
So,
okay.
I mean, but this is the modern days, and it's like fast food. You please yourself without thinking. So the prescription rates have skyrocketed. The opioid dependency has become more prevalent than ever before because the poor and disenfranchised people, and as you know, there are supposed to be over 40 million people below the poverty line in America. They turn to illegal drugs because they're less expensive than those officially prescribed drugs. And there has also been an increase in illegal heroin overdose deaths, as well as fentanyl. Fentanyl is a black market Fentanyl is a black market synthetic drug, which is about 100 times stronger than morphine. 100 times.
Morphine is bad
And-
already.
Yeah, and you see, and the illegal drugs, interesting enough, are cheaper than the legal ones. So the people go, and without being realizing it, they are addicted, and then once you're addicted, you know, you're losing any kind of perception of what's going on. You just want to feed your addiction. So, you know, people have cultivated opium poppy for 5,000 years. The father of medicine, Hippocrates, recognized the therapeutic properties of the plant, but even in ancient times, people understood that the benevolent powers of morphine were offset by the dangers of addictions. The primary source of morphine is isolating the latex from the poppy of the opium poppy plant, and that's where the morphine is being distilled from.
Yeah, of course, I'm not an expert in this whole field, though, but according to my part of the study, the whole production or creation of this opioidic products or even byproduct came out because there are people on dying beds, right? There are people who suffer lots of pain before death, right? From a pathetic situation or perspective, to give them, apply them the drugs to kill the pain, to cope along with the few hours or days or months before their death.
Right.
That is the whole purpose for the product and the byproduct to be produced.
Right.
Am I right?
And
then there's money there, of course.
Yes, but fentanyl, the like drugs, are extremely potent. Illegally manufactured fentanyl is now a major driver of the opioid overdose deaths. Originally, fentanyl was designed to be used to easing the most extreme pain among people dying of cancer. Illicit manufactured fentanyl mixed with heroin is driving many overdoses. Because as I said before, the people become addicted and they lose they lose the understanding.
The common sense of judging the quantity.
And so the federal government is starting aggressively to fight the opioid epidemic on all fronts and focuses on providing treatment for addicts. However, it may be too late to rein in this fast-spreading disease, because you see, addiction is something horrible to have.
I know, but once you're addicted, you have no willpower to fight over it, fight against it.
Exactly.
You are totally becoming a victim of the whole thing, mesmerized, and you are totally controlled by it.
Yeah, and the reason is not only that the people of dying of cancer are using this, but it's also the people.
My point, my question, focus to the one point. At which point did it come or turn from the fact it was designed to kill or to cope along with the dying pain to the point that it becomes prevailing to addict people? Who made the turn at which point?
I think because you see across the country, more and more Americans feel disconnected from society, disenfranchised, they're living in loneliness and economic despair. The opioid epidemic cuts across all races and all levels of society. Big Pharma rewarded doctors who prescribed the opioids with very lucrative kickbacks. So it was easily available, and it went outside of the original designed purpose.
In other words, the depressed people, the depressed people, come to the drugs
Yes,
to buy the temporary release.
exactly.
Relief,
Right.
relief. To buy the temporary relief. To get high
That's
for a
it.
short moment and then come back again for
And
another
get high
high,
again,
something like that,
and it
and then buy and
continues.
buy,
Yes,
they
yes,
are
yes.
on the hook.
Yeah, and
All
the
right.
reason for the tragic pandemic is the significant corruption within the pharmaceutical industry. For example, I give you a few examples here. There is a Dr. Gerald Rosenberg. He pleaded guilty on grounds of healthcare fraud and illegally.
Where is Dr. Rosenberg from?
I don't know. That I don't know. I don't have it here. He was
Okay.
somewhere in the Midwest.
I see.
Doctor, he prescribed addictive fentanyl-based cancer pain drug Subsys.
Subsys.
The drug is an under-the-tongue spray,
Drops. Tongue
which
drops.
is manufactured by Insys Therapeutics. And Rosenberg admitted that he received a whopping $188,000 in kickbacks from Insys in form of speaker fees.
Oh.
So the corruption was disguised as speaker fees on seminars about.
In other
the
words,
drug.
I buy you to speak,
Yes,
right?
that's it.
To speak the benefit of it.
Right. So he's just one of the many doctors running a so-called pill mill by overprescribing painkillers. It's very common. In an article of
Let me meander a little bit on the term a pill mill.
yeah.
Right. We know we have a pill mill. So I'd rather let you do it, please. What is a pill mill, please?
A pill mill is a slang word for what they're doing. They're just, dishing out prescriptions without checking or without reason, because, as in case of Rosenberg, he got kickbacks. The more he prescribed,
vividly, they are running a workshop.
Yeah.
Okay. The workshop is referred to as a mill, using a pill, a
Right.
pill mill.
Pill mill, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
So you see, and he's not the only one. And addiction, as I said, and then the pills are still very expensive, because this fentanyl was a very, very useful drug for people dying of cancer, until depressed people discovered that it would give them a high. And now they also tried to get their hands on it. And there was almost a sort of a black market started
In other
going.
words, if you want to die, you want to die high like that.
Right. Yes.
All right.
And if there's a lot of reasons to be depressed in this country, because as you know, as I said before, supposedly there are over 40 million people living under the poverty
line, yes.
line, which is about $12,000 and something a year income, or government subsidies.
All right. Which is about 10 to 12% of the population.
Yeah,
Right.
it's amazing. It's
My dear friends,
yeah.
today we're talking about the opioid pandemic, which is the one big problem, the biggest problem hitting us that we might not be aware of, which is so serious that last year only it caused the death 64,070 deaths. That means 175 deaths per hour.
Per day.
Per day, and 8 deaths
Seven,
per hour.
yeah.
7 deaths per hour.
Yeah.
And with my good friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, director and a fighter for justice, we get a handle on this one, on all these information that when I first saw it, I was shocked. Let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we shall go one step further. Now that we have pill mill, right? Do we have pill bill? that legitimate pills or that stops pills, though that goes to legislature. Am I right? Okay, stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friend, my lovely audiences. With me today is my good friend, Chris Nebe, a director and a fighter for justice and political commentator that I respect so much. Today, our eyes are on the pandemic, the huge problem that we're facing caused by opioid products or related, is that we are facing a very, very high death toll on an annual basis, which is the drug overdose or drug abuse. Right now, doing the research, Mr. Nebe has found out that there are 64,070 deaths of last year only, singled out as drug overdose. Right now, for that we went to one step later to find out who to blame. We found out those special kind of doctors who had the freedom to prescribe those forbidden drugs or limited drugs to people who are supposed to be addicted. Now, we use that by adopting a term, say pill mills. So. I know that we are a country of laws, a country of bills. Am I right?
Right.
So, do we have pill bills? And how pills and bills are related, please?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
It may interest you that in those states, I told you before that West Virginia and
Ohio, Pennsylvania, yeah,
and Kentucky.
Kentucky, yes.
Are very, very hard hit by the opioid. Florida also by the opioid pandemic. And interesting enough, in states where marijuana is legal, the opioid epidemic is less.
That probably is another issue that we'll discuss.
That speaks actually for the legalization for the widespread legalization of
another
marijuana.
discussion that we will do another day. Right. For today, we'll let it pass.
Right. So, on October 30th last year, the New Yorker claimed that Purdue Pharma, the manufacturers of the painkiller OxyContin,
yes,
has generated billions of dollars and millions of addicts. The drugstore chain CVS, which has been accused of profiteering from opioids, recently announced that it plans to limit prescriptions for powerful doses to 1 week's worth. With other words, before you just went and you bought whatever you could buy and whatever the doctor prescribed to you, and the pill mill doctor, of course, didn't care because for him it was prescribed. So now CVS will only honor 1 week's dose.
Which is good.
Which is very good, yeah. This change in prescription policy could have a major impact on the abuse of these drugs.
Yeah, which is good, yes.
You see, but you see, we humans are very frail. And when we see an opportunity to feed the desires we have, we take it. So while opioids do afford pain relief, initially, that relief diminishes over time.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why you have to increase the dose to curb the pain management. But you know, the more you take the pill, while you take more pills, the pain remains the same, but you need more pain
I understand.
take care of the existing pain.
That's how addiction is. That you always go for more.
Right.
Right. Go ahead.
So eventually, these patients are on a massive dose of opioids, and at this point, for many, the primary benefit of the drug therapy is not going into withdrawal, but instead they continue to increase their doses, because by now they're completely addicted and need the high. See, it's a vicious cycle.
I know, yeah.
You're
sure,
getting into
sure.
it, and without knowing it, you're addicted.
I'm talking about how this pill mills is running in relation to pill bills. Our law system, our legislature system, at Congress, at the Senate House, at the Representative House. So how I would believe that we are a country of laws. We have all kinds of laws. We even have the third bathroom laws. We have the same-sex marriage laws. We have all kinds of laws. How come we wouldn't have a law that forbids the pill mill stuff to go on?
You see, it's economics. Very simple. The pharmaceutical companies admittedly have a huge expense in developing drugs to help patients, but they also have a huge reputation for corruption and dubious business practices and control over U.S. lawmakers.
All right, good. That's exactly the part I'm asking.
And you see, this is now being exposed by the global news media. Before, before it was sort of an open secret, because everybody asks, why are drugs so expensive? Because they are very expensive, especially those drugs which are in the first cycle, because in the first cycle the drugs are very expensive, and then they become called generic drugs, which becomes, then after a certain period the copyright sort of is over, and now others can also manufacture the same drug.
Yeah, generic, we all know that.
So generic drugs. So you see, the competition is of course very high between the pharmaceutical companies. So therefore they have to do everything to push their drugs while they exclusively have them in their period. So
I have no problem if they compete amongst themselves applying the commercial way, right? Whatever they want to do, they want to do. Right? They can even do a commercial war about it. But to relate their sales, to relate their money-making industry to Congress is the issue that, number one, we will not allow. Number two, we would need to know, is there anything going on that way?
But you see, they're not the only way, because the only ones, because nowadays America is a country where the corporations are actually pulling the shots. And
I agree.
And the government.
I agree.
The government is basically subservient to commercial interests of big corporations. You see it again and again. While, for example, Obama was trying to limit oil exploration, like fracking, which is known to be very bad for the environment. Now Trump has opened up the whole thing, and it's free for all, with the effect that groundwater is going to be contaminated, and there will be endless problems with the environment. I don't know if you remember last year, the Native Americans protesting in, I forgot where, but I think in Wyoming, against a pipeline.
Yeah, the pipeline thing,
So,
yeah. The pipeline issue been a long, long time.
Yes, so I mean, it is in one way, I think the real problem, which comes back to all of this, is the rich are getting richer in America and the poor are getting poorer.
Yeah, I understand.
That is the
in
basic
principle, in general, all the major industries, such as the weapon industry, right? Such as oil industry, you mentioned.
Especially
right?
weapon industry.
Weapon industry, nuclear industry,
obscene.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
They are all related with our politics.
Right.
I'm only asking you how this pharmaceutical industry is related to our politics, if there is any.
There are.
Or there are.
Because you see, the United States of America accounts for roughly a third of the global market for opioid painkillers.
1/3.
1/3. And the liberation of the US laws governing the prescription of opioids for the treatment of chronic cancer pain by the state medical boards has led to dramatic increases in opioid use. Because the laws were liberated because these legal changes have been mainly brought about through the aggressive marketing and lobbying efforts of Big Pharma. So, Big Pharma spent over $2.5 billion dollars. Billion
With a B.
with a B, lobbying and funding members of the U.S. Congress and Senate over the past decade.
All right, my dear friends, we finally found out there are some deals in between the big pharmaceutical industry and our politics. And as it is how and how much, we shall take a short moment now and come back for it. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the East-West Show. Jack Zhao on the East-West Show, the JNE TV. Today, our subject is the opioid pandemic situation that we are facing. We never know that last year only, there are 64,070 deaths last year alone, due to the overdose of drugs. Okay. With me today, contribute to this whole show is my good friend Chris Nebe, who has done a justice research for these many datas putting together. So my respect to you, to your time and efforts. We're down to the last segment, the final segment, to talk about how our drug-related problems are related to our politics. Right. We came to a point at the door of Congress. Let's find out. So please, back to Mr. Chris Nebe, please.
You see, in America, if you want to be elected, you need money.
Yeah, of
and
course.
you need substantial amounts of money because you have to get your message across. Because in America, everybody can enter politics if they have money to make their voice heard. So, where does the money come from? So, politicians who have face these expensive television campaigns, I think, if I'm informed correctly, the last election, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump together spent over $1 billion US dollars.
$1 billion.
Billion dollars in getting elected. Now, it would have been very nice if, let's say, half of that would have gone to urgent humanitarian causes in America rather than being spent on electing a politician.
Those money can never be recalled because
No, it's gone.
that is the politics
Yeah.
that's been running always like that way. Okay, now my whole point, I believe that it is that the whole point that also represents the points of my audience is that now that we have somebody elected through such a costly channel, spend such a big chunk of money, better let them do the right thing. That is the point.
Unfortunately, they don't.
All right, good.
In most cases.
You tell me.
So you see, Big Pharma has spent over, as I said that before, over 2.5 billion with a B, dollars lobbying and funding
The
members.
term big pharma is used as a group.
As a group of all pharmaceutical companies.
Big pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
All right. Big pharma.
Big Pharma.
With a name.
Yeah.
Big pharma.
Has spent over $2.5 billion lobbying and funding members of the U.S. Congress and Senate over the past decade. That is, over the last 10 years, Big Pharma spent $2.5 billion to influence the political decisions regarding their products.
To what extent?
That means that 9 out of 10 members of Congress and all but 3 of the 100 senators in Washington have taken campaign contributions from Big Pharma seeking to affect legislation on everything from the cost of drugs to how new medicines are approved.
Can you say the whole thing again, please?
Yes.
I want my audience to pay attention. if possible, either record this or take a note. Go ahead, please.
9 out of 10 members of Congress.
There are 435 of them.
Yes.
All right.
So
Okay,
9
you go ahead.
out
Let me
of
do a
10
check.
members have received campaign contributions from Big Pharma. Out of the 100,
That's 391 and a half.
yes.
All
Out
right.
of the 100 senators in Washington, 97 have taken campaign contribution from Big Pharma.
Only 3 didn't.
Only 3 are clean and didn't.
Only 3 are clean. Where did you get those numbers?
They are public knowledge. You just have to find out. I mean, nowadays, everything is available if you know where to search.
All right, very good.
And you see, Big Pharma has done that to affect legislation.
I have a little message to share with my audience on
Yeah.
those numbers. All right, please allow me. 9 out of 10. That means 90%. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right, 90%. And in the Senate House, you're talking about not 90%, 97%.
Right.
Because out of 100,
Yeah.
only 3 didn't.
Yeah.
That's 93, 97%.
Yeah.
In other words, in the American Congress, 90 to 97% are using the Big Pharma campaign money.
Yes.
Am I right?
Right.
Okay, now, disclaimer myself. Whatever I say is not a opinion representing this show, this business, EDI, Genie TV. Neither does it represent me. It is only his number, all right? All right?
Now I'm
It is
getting
only his
all the
number.
blame.
Yeah, you're getting all the
I
blame.
am, I
It
am.
is only his number. According to his number,
Yeah.
which I believe I can trust,
Yes.
all right, is that I trust for that, proven in history that he is a man of numbers. He is a man of responsibility. He will be responsible for whatever he says, that 90% to 97% of the Congress, right?
Yeah.
They are running their campaign with their Big Pharma money.
Big Pharma has, for every member in Congress, Big Pharma has 2 lobbyists lobbying the congressional members of Congress.
Say it again,
in Washington.
please. Say it again, please.
Big Pharma has 2 lobbyists, you know, and there are paid lobbyists
I know,
in Washington to promote each company manufacturers of weapons.
Like a basketball, right?
Yeah.
They have 1-on-1.
Right.
Now the judge said, let's do 2-on-1.
Right. Right.
Something like that.
Right. So for each member of Congress in Washington, there are supposed to be 2 lobbyists of Big Pharma being active.
That's going to be
pushing.
870 for Congress.
Right.
I mean for representative, House of Representative, and 200 for Senate.
Right. And this is the Washington swamp at its best. This is a perfect example how politics.
Once
are
again, it is
corrupted
his
here.
number, right? Not my number. Right? It
It's
represents only his personal opinion, not mine, neither the company, nor the show, neither EDI, nor GDTV.
Okay.
His Chris Nebe number.
Fine. I have received these numbers through research, and my research is usually pretty good, and it's available in public if you know where to look. So I think that I can stand behind those numbers.
Yeah, personally, I trust you.
And I mean, we all have heard the Washington swamp. President Trump made it a campaign issue to clean up the Washington swamp. So far, I don't have the impression that he has.
He will probably get to it.
Yeah.
According to what he did, what he has done for the past few months, though, he probably is step by step making to it.
Yeah.
He will get to it. All right. Now, my dear friends, thank you for watching this show. Today, with my good friend Chris Nebe, director and fighter for justice, and a man of responsibility, I got a chance to touch this pandemic for drug overdose death, which is a major cause of death for the United States of America that we were not aware of. So, my dear audience, thank you for watching. And to Chris Nebe, I thank you very much. Personally, I thank you very much for being so honest and so pinpoint to all the issues.
Yeah,
and also on behalf of my audiences, the community, thank you for your love.
Yeah, the audience will see that in the future, when all this is more uncovered by the media, a lot of pharmaceutical chief executives are going to prison, will be going to prison eventually.
Very good, very good. Well,
because as you said before, after all, the country is still a country of law.
Of course, we're a country of laws.